Hi everyone, Alexandra Jarrett, Jupiter Returns here with your weekly astrology forecast for the week of August, the 17th to the 23rd, 2020. And you may not recognize the surroundings. That's because I'm away from home at the moment on a road trip. So this is my first broadcast, a test broadcast essentially from my new motorhome, Morrison. Here he is, and I am assisted today by the beautiful Luna here, my sister's dog, who has decided that she'd like to be part of things. So without further ado, apologies for sound and light quality. I'm doing what I can in my van. And I'm a poet. So let's start the week with looking at kind of the backdrop energy that I'm sure we're all getting very familiar with now. This is the Mars in Aries aspect to the triple conjunction planets up there in Capricorn. So last week we had the first Mars-Pluto square towards the end of last week that really kind of pushed these themes of power and control. You may have experienced this in your own life, of conflict arising that seems to be predominantly centered around power, where we have it, how we use it, and how others use it over us. We're moving now slightly, because these planets are so close together, we're not going to hit a point in time where the influence of Pluto or Saturn completely dissipates. So whilst we're now moving into the Mars square to Saturn, which I'll talk a bit more about later, the effect of Pluto is still very much present in the background. So it's more adding kind of more ingredients into the mix, essentially. So we need to bear in mind that, you know, all of these planets are very, very active. Essentially, these three planets were what created or provoked the crisis of 2020, this huge situation that we find ourselves in, this almost like a crossroads, essentially, for humanity, in terms of, do we look at the underlying structure of our way of life and try to continue, try to persist in the same way as we've always done, or do we really need to make some fundamental changes now in order to progress forward in a better direction? Have we arrived at that point now where we really are being forced to look at the structure, the way we do things, and make some very, very difficult decisions? And I do believe that's what this coronavirus crisis has been all about. So these planets have been very, very present with us, and now what's happening with Mars pulling into this square aspect, that's reactivating the energy that they've all brought into this year, stirring it all up again. So as we move into the second half of 2020, Mars will just be prodding them again and saying, come on, your work's not finished yet. And of course, Mars is going to go retrograde. So, Mars is going to go retrograde. So this effect that he's having here is going to be 3 times over. If you haven't watched it yet, then do check out my Mars retrograde in Aries special video that is on my YouTube channel, and that's going to give you much more information than I can do in the weeklies. Going to give you the specific dates, etc. But of course, as each thing comes up in the weekly forecasts, I'll be here to talk a little bit more about it. So that really is the very kind of potent backdrop to what we're feeling. And matters that are arising now, as with all retrogrades, this means that they're going to be revisited later on. So what's coming up now, be prepared that, you know, once that drifts away, it's going to drift back into focus again to have another look and see if we can do things a different way. So pay attention. Where is Mars transiting in your chart? Which house in your chart does Aries occupy, and Capricorn? These are the houses that are really going to be brought into the picture with the Mars retrograde. So where we find ourselves today, Monday, the 17th of August, we have the Sun here in his home sign of Leo. This is the fixed sign, one of the fixed signs. So it's Leo, Aquarius, Taurus and Scorpio. That's the fixed axis. The Sun is together with Mercury today, very strongly, and they are forming a trine aspect to Mars. Now, this is really nice energy, actually. This helps us to feel good. Mars is our kind of our energy, our motivation, our sense of personal will and power to a certain extent. So when it's in a harmonious energy flow to the Sun, then we tend to feel a little bit better about being who we are. These are very self-focused energies, both Leo and Aries. So the Mars and Sun there, they're both in their respective home signs, giving them even more emphasis, even more power and influence over us. So this is going to make us feel energized, motivated, and perhaps a little bit more just generally feeling a bit better about being who it is that we are as individuals. So it's a bit of a self-esteem boost, really, that we're experiencing now. The Mercury influence here is kind of asking us some questions, because we're moving into the new moon that's coming up, and I'll talk about that a bit later. But where we are right now, we still have this waning moon. She's still reducing in size, so we can utilize her to remove things, to release things, to take things away at this time. We've had the opportunity since the last new moon by now to see what we needed to see, to have the opportunity to integrate that into ourselves. And now really is the powerful time of saying, okay, it's time to let go of something that we no longer need, make the room for something new to come into with this new moon in Leo. So as well, Monday and Tuesday, as those days roll on, it's really a time to let go and release and just allow something to move away. Some of the questions, therefore, that this aspect, this lovely trine aspect, will bring up is questions around how we are communicating in every possible way. That's not just speaking, every way that we give out information about ourselves. How are we communicating our sense of self into the world? So how do I express Alexandra into the world? Okay. That's really what this Mercury connection is all about. Leo energy is the creativity, okay? And this energy is all about, you know, how am I creating me? Who am I? And though my regulars will know, you know, that if you watch me, I keep talking about this Mars retrograde as an opportunity to just bring everything back to the self. Whatever is going on out there in the world, in your world, it's really a time of just bringing it back to the self. What's this saying about me? So right now we can be asking, do I express myself in a way that is helpful to the world, in a way that brings joy to other people? Leo is the sign of fun and happiness and play. So, you know, do I leave people feeling happier for having had me around? Do I leave them with a sense of, I've been a sunny interval in a thunderstorm, which is happening a lot at the moment? You know, have I been have I given them that feeling of warmth and the way that I radiate myself? So yeah, how do I communicate the essence? How do you communicate the essence of who you are out into the world? What mark do your words and thoughts leave on the hearts of others? That's another crucial question at this time. Words are so powerful, and very, very powerful in these fire signs. And you may have experienced things recently where, you know, particularly with the Mars-Pluto aspect going on, it's been challenging conversations, perhaps. People have really had a potent impact by using their words, their expressions, difficult conversations with us. So it's really a a reminder, essentially, to consider where we are speaking from. In its highest potential, Leo is pure self-abandonment. It's when we let go of all of the roles that we're trying to play in life, and we just shine from the inner child spirit, the heart center. On the downside, on the less desirable effect, when Leo's not really expressing itself awfully well, it can come across in quite a self-centered energy. If we consider the sun is the ruler of Leo, and the sun is at the center of the solar system. It is a solar sun system. Everything revolves around the sun. All the planets are, concentrated their efforts on the sun. So the sun is the center of attention. And sometimes Leo energy can be a little bit like that. It wants to know that it's really important, and that, other things are moving around it and what it wants. So some of that kind of what can often get described as the ego, but isn't actually really the ego. It's more kind of conditioning, let's just say. It's not the true authentic heart of the self. We can get caught up in these roles that we play. Leo being a lover of theatre and dressing up and acting and all of these things, and we kind of do that in lots of ways in our life. So this is a reminder to pull through the more desirable qualities of Leo, which is to entertain, to shine, to bring happiness, to bring joy, to bring creativity through, and always come from the heart. Okay, the sun is at the center. Solar plexus is the center of the self. Solar meaning sun, and plexus is this, the word itself actually means where all the nerves come together. It's like a network or a matrix, or almost like a junction box, if you like. All of the nervous system, it centers in on this point. So it's really saying this is the sun of the self, the solar center, the solar plexus. And the effect that where we are in our own heart, sending all of these messages out around the body, and then out into the world via the limbs and the way that we use our body in the world, and what we make in the world, what we create in the world. So yeah, really come back to the heart of who you truly are when all of these roles that we're playing have been stripped away. And consider the mark that we leave with the words that we choose to use. So this is a really good time. This can feel good energy to start. It can get us feeling motivated about perhaps making a change about the way that we communicate, perhaps feeling more motivated and feeling more self-accepting, and all of the things that we can do moving forward that we wouldn't have been able to do if we weren't quite so self-accepting. It's very liberating energy when we have the courage to let our truth shine. And Leo is all about courage. If you remember the Wizard of Oz film, the lion was always scared all the time. He'd lost his heart. And this is the thing to remember: courage. You have the courage to have heart, have the courage to really truly be yourself. And that's really empowering, which is what Mars is all about. So you may feel yourself feeling motivated to start something new, do something very differently that allows you this sense of creativity that Leo really likes. How are we going to perform our lives going forwards? So as the moon is in Leo, she's waning now as she moves towards the new moon. Give her what it is that stands in your way of shining. Offer up to her and ask her to remove, as her light diminishes, ask her to remove the clouds that stand in the way of your sun. Anything that it is that impedes you from shining, because the world needs you to shine. Okay, the more people who shine their light out into the world, the more happy and warm and vibrant this planet is for all of us. So when we have the courage to be ourselves like that, and to put our ray into the world, it encourages other people to do that. It's like passing the flame from the Olympic torch, you know. It's like my light will help light yours, and so on and so on. And then the whole world is so much more lit, which is exactly what the sun needs to do. It needs to light things up. So let's do that. So as we move overnight into Tuesday the 18th, what we have now is some additional helpful energy in the form of a sextile. We've got a couple of sextiles. The moon is forming a sextile to Venus. Okay, so the sextile aspect being basically half of a trine. That's essentially all it is, as you can see here. If I put a sextile up against the trine aspect, it's just half of a trine. So what that tells us is that it's a supportive, it's helpful energy flow. These planets can connect more easily to each other. We just need to meet it with a little bit of effort. With a trine, things just flow, things just happen all by themselves, and we don't really need to do any work. But with a sextile, we just need to give it a nudge, put a bit of energy into it. So what we have happening is we have one sextile here from Venus in Cancer to Uranus in Taurus. Now, if we just look at that individually for a moment, this is really, really lovely energy. This is, and it will be active today, Monday as well. So this is pleasant surprises. Okay, this is things that we didn't expect happening, that give us something sweet, something that helps to improve a connection, a relationship. It might be, for example, I'm currently staying with my sister, whose family, Venus in Cancer, and she very, very kindly and very unexpectedly yesterday gave me a present, a beautiful bracelet and an anklet. And this was precisely what the energy was playing out. In fact, she's a Taurus. Her sun is in Taurus. So this Uranus in Taurus, Venus in Cancer, it's that kind of thing, just a little bit of sweetness. It may even be just a lovely conversation with someone where you really feel like a nice, pleasant connection, or a surprise kind of, I don't know, a bunch of flowers from your partner or something like that. Just something a bit pleasant, perhaps even something to do with money, something that you weren't expecting, like a nice little, I got a check from the premium bonds or something like that, that kind of energy. Come on then, Luna. Luna wants to be involved now because I'm talking about the moon. Luna's a Cancerian, actually, so she's very much about this Venus in Cancer energy. So that's the Venus to Uranus sextile. And then what we have going on, this is a little bit squished up, but we also then have Venus to the moon. So with that moon being the waning moon, this is talking to releasing what stands in the way of our sense of worth, our sense of worthiness, okay? And how we allow ourselves to be authentically ourselves and still be worthy. This is the thing, you know, we feel like we have to do something and be something other than who we really are in order to be worthy of love and praise and nice things happening to us. But this energy here is just a reminder that actually when we just let all these conditions go, these habits that we've got into, which is precisely what Cancer is all about, then actually this energy can really shine through, and we can be surprised at how the sweetness can appear in our life. So that's some really, really lovely in energy, and it's really all about us. It's very, very similar to what's happening in Leo. It's valuing our own authenticity, learning to appreciate what it is that makes me me when I'm not playing all these roles, when I'm not wearing all these masks. You know, it's really all about you know, learning to value your uniqueness. Everyone is different. We all came here to bring something different into the world. And if we're all trying really hard to just do the same thing and be the same as everyone else, then, oh, it's such a loss, such a huge loss to everyone. So I hope this energy, I hope you're feeling it, and I hope you can feel that that encouragement from the universe, because this whole lunation, you know, the way that all of these connections are coming together is really saying this is the universe supporting you being you and nobody else. Everyone is taken. Everyone else is taken. So I hope that resonates with you, and that you can find a way to be more true to yourself if you need to. Then overnight, as we move into Wednesday, Mercury's day, that's when we actually have the new moon. So we will have the moon and sun conjunct, as always, combined with Mercury on Mercury's day. So this is quite a potent conjunction that we have here. This is taking place at 26 degrees of Leo. So find where that is in your chart. See if you've got any planets that it's activating, either by conjunction or another aspect in different areas of your chart. See where Leo, what house Leo occupies in your chart, and just see where you need to be planting some new seeds, okay, that are going to come to fruition 6 months down the line when we have the Leo full moon, okay? So this conjunction with Mercury, my interpretation on this is that it's an encouragement to the purification process. Mercury is Hermes, okay? So it's the planet of health and healing, as along with travel and communication. We're more familiar with those aspects of it, but we sometimes forget that Mercury is all about analysis, diagnosis, gnosis being thinking, and really kind of purifying, healing and health and improving things. This is more so at this phase where Mercury rules Virgo, more so than where Mercury rules Gemini. And that's the season that we're moving into as we move out of Leo season into Virgo. So here this really talks about purification. And as does Leo, you know, when we consider Leo energy, it's very much connected to the throat chakra, the child, the innocence and purity of the child is connected to Vishuddha chakra, which is the throat chakra. And this is the Mercury energy. So this really speaks to purifying and coming back to the purity of your heart and the essence of who you were when you were a child. What were the things? Do you remember those times when you were you'd lost the outer world? It just faded away into the background, and all there was the process of you and whatever it was that you were involved with, you know, playing and creating something. Try and take yourself back to that energy, that feeling that you had of just being in pure flow. This is the energy that we really want to capture with this new moon, just purifying everything else away, all the layers that have been put over the top of that vibration. See if we can come back to it. See if we can capture that light and distill it, you know, purify it down into its pure essence. And then we can really, really use that going forwards, because that's some powerful, powerful energy that as we get older, I think we really, really miss out on that. So it's good to see if we can reconnect with it, essentially. Whilst we have this incredible new moon, the aspects that it's making, which are incredible, really. We have a trine aspect. It's all getting a bit busy here, isn't it? That's Mercury's influence. We have a trine aspect to the south node up there in Sagittarius. Now, This is what's being responsible, I feel, for some of the, well, certainly the long distance travel issues that are cropping up now. But I think we're really feeling it in with regards to higher education. So Sagittarius is the sign that rules higher education. And of course, we've had this very, very difficult situation. And I think we're going to see more of it affecting the higher education, certainly universities. With the South Node there, it's going to be kind of moving that away, essentially, making that more difficult to achieve. So, but the South Node at this time is actually going to be on the galactic center, this incredibly powerful point in space that's just a consciousness way beyond anything that we know. It's considered to be the womb of creation, the womb of consciousness. So having the South Node here in perfect harmonious energy flow with this new moon, that therefore creates a sextile aspect to the North Node, okay, the opposite point, the North Lunar Node in the sign of Gemini. So this is more Mercury influence. So there's a receptivity between these energies through the Mercury connection. So what this is saying how can we draw on the amazing experiences that we've had in the past, the wonderful higher knowledge that we've gained through our journey, our long distance journey through life. How can we allow those resources that we have to flood into the situation and facilitate, with a little bit of effort through the sextile, moving into a better future with the North Node? Okay, so have a consideration with regards to that in your own chart. What are the resources? Where does Sagittarius fall in your chart? What might be the resources that you've developed in that area of your life, and how can you pull them through? If you're not familiar with your chart, or you don't know where this is showing up, then just meditate, just communicate Mercury with the galactic center. You'll probably find something on YouTube or something like that that can help you to do this, just to connect with that place in space and just ask. You know, this is the easiest aspect in all of astrology. Ask for that energy to pour through, and it's likely that it's just going to flow through anyway. This gives me a lot of hope about this new moon. This gives me the encouragement, I think, to really encourage everyone else to really sow some powerful seeds here. Get clear, get pure, come back to your heart and infuse this energy of what you've learned in your journey in life into the situation. Say, okay, this is how I can make things better in the future in my life. So then on Thursday, we have essentially it's the opening up of Virgo season, because Mercury will then ingress into his home sign of Virgo. So, you know, and this is, you know, that new moon being the last connection, the last big event that he's involved in. Again, this speaks to making something better. That's what Virgo is all about. It's about improvement, whether that's self-improvement through diet and health and fitness. You usually find people with a lot of Virgo energy in their chart are very keen on being very healthy, very clean and very fit, and these kinds of things. It could be with regards to that, but it could also be with others. For example, doctors, healers of all different kinds. Virgo wants to heal. It wants to make things better. And also occupations such as decorators, interior designers, things like that. People who just want to take something in its raw form and improve upon it. Like, how can I add to this? How can I polish it up so that it becomes something better? Very much about health and healing and improvement then. So as Mercury ingresses that sign, the moon will as well. And together, the moon is now waxing. She's starting to grow again after the new moon. So it's this beautiful start again that speaks to improvement, and making things healthier, making things more refined as well. Okay, how can I refine myself just that little bit? If you think of a diamond, you know, they're kind of just these lumps when they come out of the ground. They're really not very impressive at all. And it's the rubbing, yeah, it's the rubbing, it's the polishing, as we, you know, the friction, the tension, if you like, and the pressure that polishes them into sparkling. And the more they sparkle, then the more light they give off. So we mustn't kind of denigrate the polishing that we have in life, essentially, which we do. And with this Mars stuff going on, all of these challenges and difficulties and pressures that we're experiencing this year essentially are polishing our surfaces so that we can shine that bit brighter. So try and consider it in those terms, particularly with the moon waxing, like looking for opportunities to refine the self, to add another facet onto ourselves, to really buff things up so that we're sparkling at our absolute best. The other quality of Virgo then that's going to assist this process is that it's mutable energy. So each season begins with cardinal energy. So summer here starts with Cancer. That ushers in the summer season. It's then fixed into place. It's solid. When the sun is in Leo, summer is definitely here. It's definitely hot and we definitely want to go on holiday generally. But when the planets start moving into Virgo, this is mutability, and this is saying get ready for change, because autumn season is just around the corner, I'm afraid to say it. So this is where we are starting to get organized and practical, which are Virgoan qualities, starting to prepare for the fact that the seasons are now beginning just about to change into autumn, and just having a bit of a think about how that might look for you, where you want to go with that. It's fantastic energy with Mercury here also for problem solving. Your brain may become just that little bit more clear, a little bit more quick thinking. And you may just realize something. You may just like have a breakthrough in understanding of something, and you may be able to solve that problem, much in the way of the improvement side of things. It may just come to you that, oh yeah, no, I can see how I can improve that. I can see how I can fix that problem, which is wonderful. And the emphasis really is on details, really getting down to the details. So, you know, not so much the bigger picture. Pisces sits opposite Virgo. Pisces is the really big idea. It's the dream. It's the fantasy. Virgo energy is where we say, okay, well, how are you going to make that work? Okay, where's the instruction manual that's going to make that happen? Okay, this is what Virgo is all about. So it's all about the details, the finer details. So try and bring that in if you can. Then as we move into Friday, we're really now starting to feel the Mars-Saturn aspect building up, as we're moving a little bit out of the Mars-Pluto, but it's still very present. So this is going to be intensification of clashes and tensions, most very likely involving violence. Mars is the personal will, what I want, you know, this must happen. Saturn in a tense aspect here makes it incredibly determined to not back down. Okay, so we can come across people here who are just determined to have a fight, you know, about anything, almost like they'll provoke a fight just to assert a sense of power, assert a sense of dominance in some way. And in world events, certainly we could see a greater upsurge again in violent clashes between the individual man and Saturn as the authority figure. I mean, you might find this with bosses in your own life, but this certainly would be governments, regimes, authorities. What springs to mind most powerfully for me right now is what we see happening in Belarus, and where the individuals are standing up against the authorities and saying, no more of this. We will not accept this, and we are determined to really, really fight for what is right, essentially. This is the influence of Jupiter here. Jupiter's retrograde here, obviously they're all retrograde. Jupiter's retrograde here is saying, hang on a second, something isn't just here. Something isn't right. Something isn't the way it's supposed to be. Something's been manipulated or coerced, or, you know, with Pluto's essence there. So it's really trying to well, it's a provoking all of those situations up to the surface where there's been a corruption of power, where there's been a misalignment of these energies, where people are abusing their position, abusing their wealth, for example, as well, perhaps, and using that in the wrong way. And the man in the street is going to stand up and say, no more. Obviously, this is going to be a very long process, though, with the retrograde of Mars. This is going to flare up 3 times between now and December. So that's going to be, again, something that we will be revisiting periodically. So bear that in mind with whatever might be showing up in your own chart in this way, that it's something that we're going to come back around to. So my advice is pick your battles. It's very, very likely that you're going to feel very held back. Mars wants to move forward and Saturn wants things to stay the same. So this is a feeling of frustration and inhibition around not being able to move forward in some way. Like something is stopping you from making progress, from getting something done that you really want to do. So what we need to do here is consider that we're going to be in this for a little while. This is going to be, you know, a good few months of this energy. So we have to dig deep. We have to essentially evaluate whether this is a battle that's worth it. Okay, initially, is this worth the amount of energy that it's going to take out of me? So is this fight really worth it, or should I just, you know, just let it go? If we do decide that it's worth it, then we need to understand that we need to pace ourselves very much, keep a little back in reserve, make sure that we've done everything that we can to prepare ourselves to have to maintain the energy going forward, you know, for a long time. So cutting away anything perhaps that's going to drain us of our energy or drain our personal resources in some way, so that we can put everything into just that one thing that we've chosen that we do need to focus on. That would be my advice there. And if the frustrations really start to build and become unbearable, then absolutely use the ways that the methods that we release Mars energy more safely. So how do you release anger more safely? You can do it through exercise, burning off all of those powerful hormones that are coursing through your body. You know, hit something like a cushion or a punch bag, or, you know, beat something, kick something, you know, safely. Go for a sauna. Just generally get that energy out of you so that it's not turning in against you. As we move through that weekend, I mean, this is building up into next week, so we'll talk a little bit more about it there. But these things are, you're going to feel this, I suspect. We will have over the weekend, I'm not quite sure why, I've just realized that Pluto is here in Libra, which shouldn't be, but never mind. We're going to have the moon moving through Libra over this period of time. All of Saturday and a good chunk of Sunday we'll have the waxing moon in Libra. So if we can tap into the moon with this energy, this is going to help bring a sense of peace and harmony and balance two matters. The only sort of potential downside that we could have is when the moon will oppose Mars. So if we're not careful, we could have very powerful emotional outbursts coming through there. We'll actually create a T-square like this as we move through the weekend. But if we can just remember, okay, we want more because the moon is waxing. We want more fairness. We want more balance. We want more, you know, just keeping things on an even keel if we can. Be aware of the influence that this is having on you. And if you're watching this, you're that bit more aware than the vast majority of people that you're going to come into contact with. So hold space for the fact that they are not conscious of the influences that the planets are having on them. You know, they are just going to likely be unconsciously expressing and playing out these powerful, powerful energies that are moving through them. So don't get drawn into that unconscious way of being, okay? You've watched this, you know better, all right? So just remember that, and always, always, always come back to your heart, come back to your center, and remember to continue practicing to do that. Remember the purity, remember the true essence of who you are. And as long as you're coming from that place, then I think that really nothing can go too badly wrong. I hope this was helpful for you. As always, if it was, I know it's been a little bit unusual and possibly not the best quality, but I've committed to getting these forecasts out to you wherever I am. So do give me a like, give me a share, subscribe to my channel, and I wish you all the very best for a very, very golden Leo new moon, and I will see you very soon. Much love. Goodbye.